Hello everyone, welcome to Vision Neet. So today we're going to discuss about the first unit of biology of first year for Neet students. So this is the chapter which is known as this is the unit which is known as the diversity in living world. And in this unit we have the living world, biological classification, plant kingdom, and animal kingdom. So we have four chapters. What are these four chapters? We have this living world, biological classification, plant kingdom, animal kingdom. These are the four chapters that we have which are under diversity, the unit diversity. Okay, so let us begin with this chapter. First chapter, the living world. Here one paragraph is given which is not so important. Paragraph is given, this is not so important. You should not read this paragraph, and this one is there. If you want to waste your time, then read. Otherwise, smart students would do this. Okay, coming to the next point. Okay, there is a scan. We are seeing this scan here. So if we just scan it, we will observe some images. It's very important images, and from these images we can observe the things. We can analyze that what are things present in this chapter. So we can view what are things present, or some important images which can be very important from the point of view of NEET exam. So the first chapter, we are starting with the first chapter, that is the living world. Okay, in this chapter there are some important content. What are the important contents? What is living? Diversity in the living world. Taxonomic categories. Taxonomical aids. These are the four important contents in this chapter. So first of all, there is a paragraph which is the introduction is given. In this paragraph, we don't have a lot of important things, but the most important two things are there. There is some questions are being asked. One question is, the first is a technical one, there is written, and the second, to what living is supposed to be, non-living, and what the purpose of life is, and another one is given, what is living. So these are the things given. The first question, here you can see the first is a technical one. And what is the first question? What the purpose of life is. And the second question is a philosophical one, and which says what the purpose of life. First question is what is living. So the first question, what is living. First question is what is living. It's not so important, is important. But the second question, what the purpose of life, from the point of view of scientists, it is not important. From the point of view of scientists, it is not important. So we will study what is living. That's why the first point that is written, what is living, 1.1. So in this paragraph, in this first paragraph, it is defined that what is living. When we say an object is living, when we say something is living, that means it has some distinctive characteristics. What are these characteristics? Growth, reproduction, these are the characteristics. So these are the characteristics that we have: growth, reproduction, ability to sense environment, mount a suitable response. These are the important things that there will be present in a living organism. Other important features like metabolism, ability to self-perpetuate, self-organize, interact, and emergence to this list. So metabolism means anabolism plus catabolism, ability to self-replicate. We know that there is replication of DNA, and that is why growth occurs in a living organism. That is replication, self-replicate. Self-organize, there is a systemic organization of the organs, tissues, that is known as self-organize. Interact with the environment. When there is winter, our body, there is a characteristic called shaving. sorry, shivering. So that is also present in our body. That means we adjust with the environment. Next paragraph says all living organisms grow. What this says, increase in mass and increase in number of individuals are twin characteristics of. This is very very important. Very very important. Increase in mass and increase in number of individuals. This is very important. Star mark is given. So these 2 points, the twin characteristics of growth are two: increase in mass and increase in number of individuals. There are important points. A multicellular organism grows by cell division. We know that. Now plants. If we say plant, there is unlimited growth. Unlimited growth. But if we say about animals, there is limited growth. Growth is limited. Why? You may ask why. Because in plants there is present what present? Meristematic cells. At the tip of the stem there is present meristematic cells. And these meristematic cells are active cells. They continuously divide throughout their life. And that is why the growth in plants is continuous throughout their life. Whereas in animals, growth is seen only up to a certain age, because some cells become tissues and tissues modify into organs and they stabilize themselves. They don't grow further. Okay, next, however, cell division occurs in certain tissues to replace lost cells. We know that if there is an injury in any tissue, then there will be like a repairment of the tissues. That is why certain tissue cell division occurs to repair those lost cells. Unicellular organisms grow by cell division. We know about bacteria. Bacteria, we know unicellular organism reproduces, grows by cell division. So we know about bacteria. So it divides. How it divides? It divides by cell division. Divides into two daughter cells, and that two daughter cells again gives rise to four. So in this way, by cell division, they grow. One can easily observe this in vitro cultures. In vitro cultures by simply counting the number of cells under the microscope. In majority of higher animals and plants, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. We know in humans also. Humans are under higher animals and humans are under higher animals. So in our case what it is observed that growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. They are different events. Whereas if you compare this with simple unicellular organisms, then growth and reproduction are mutually inclusive events. That means we cannot say that growth and reproduction are different or exclusive events in those organisms. Okay. Next point is, one must remember that increase in body mass is considered as growth. We have seen the twin characteristics of growth before, that increase in mass and increase in number of individuals are considered as twin characteristics of growth. So here that is written that increase in mass is also a criterion for growth. That is why non-living organisms grow because we see mountains, boulders and sand mounds, they grow by accumulation. They grow by accumulation of material. So that is growth, and that growth is extrinsic, not intrinsic growth. In humans the growth is intrinsic, whereas in those organisms the growth is extrinsic. So growth therefore cannot be taken as a defining property. It cannot be taken as a defining property. We cannot define it as a defining property. Why? Because it is also being exhibited by the non-living beings. Okay. Conditions under which it can be observed. So these are the things which are important in this paragraph. Moving back to the next paragraph, that is about reproduction. So reproduction, we know, is a characteristic of living organisms. In multicellular organisms, reproduction refers to the production of progeny possessing features more or less similar to those of parents. This is the simple definition of reproduction. What it says, that reproduction refers to the production of progeny, and to maintain future to future destinies. What you say? Invariably and implicitly, we refer to sexual reproduction. Organisms reproduce by asexual means also. Fungi multiply and spread easily due to the millions of asexual spores they produce. In lower organisms like yeast and hydra, we observe budding. So we observe in lower organisms we observe budding. That's why here written as budding is observed. Where budding is observed, yeast and hydra. These are the lower organisms. In plain area flatworms, we observe true regeneration. That is a fragmented organism. There is a fragment here, and from this fragment, two more pieces are there, and from these pieces, new individuals will grow. So as simple as that. A fragmented organism regenerates the lost part of its body and becomes a new organism. This is the regeneration. After that, we have the fungi, the filamentous algae, the protonema of Moses. This is a very, very important line. Fungi, filamentous algae, protonema of Moses. They multiply by fragmentation. Multiply by fragmentation. Very, very important line. So, the fungi, the filamentous algae, the protonema of Moses. We learned this in plant kingdom. They easily multiply by fragmentation. This means they break into fragments, and those fragments again give rise to new individuals. Okay, when it comes to unicellular organism like bacteria, unicellular algae or amoeba, what reproduction is synonymous. Reproduction is synonymous with growth. This is important. Reproduction is synonymous with growth. Here it is written. That is increase in number of cells, as I have already told you. So we have already defined growth as equivalent to increase in cell number or mass. Hence you notice that in single cell organisms we are not very clear about the uses of these two terms, growth and reproduction. So further, there are many organisms which do not reproduce at mules, sterile, worker bees, infertile human couples, etc. Reproduction cannot be an inclusive defining characteristic of a living organism. Of course, no non-living object is capable of reproducing or replicating by itself. But why reproduction cannot be taken as a defining property or inclusive defining characteristic of a living organism? Because some do not reproduce, like mules, as here it is written. Some mules, sterile worker bees, infertile human couples, they do not reproduce as all. So that's why we cannot take reproduction as a defining characteristic of living organisms. So this is all about in this lecture. In the next lecture we'll tell about other characteristics of living things, that is metabolism, consciousness, self-consciousness, and then we'll move to taxonomy, taxonomical categories, taxonomical aids, and we'll end this chapter by the next lecture. Hope you enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, and please press on the bell icon ring. Thank you so much.